This is Steve from Boxing UK in association with Supreme CBD. Delighted to be joined at 3:36 a.m. Lou DiBELLA, a quiet night for you?
Well, I mean, I haven't eaten yet. I came to LA. I flew out today, did the press conference. We had a press conference across 2 continents. It's been around the clock the last few weeks trying to get this deal done. It's been a crazy, I've never really had this crazy, period of time with, trying to make a Haney deal, winding up with a Lomachenko deal. And then that piece of shit Putin invades the Ukraine, and Lomachenko has a much bigger battle on his hands than a fight. And he goes back to defend his country. 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, we found out that we had to go back and start again from the beginning.
Yeah.
And rather than George Kambosos was not going to agree to do anything other than a huge fight. And he wanted to fight the best available guy in Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. He's been tweeting out stadiums for 4 months since he beat Teofimo. I had to get him Haney, and that's what I did. And I had the framework of a deal done with ESPN to fight Lomachenko, combined with pay-per-view with Fox in Australia, and the help of the Victorian government in Australia, Marvel Stadium. I had a lot of great partners, TEG, which is a powerhouse promotional company over there, Duco Promotions, David Higgins, IMG helped out, and it was really an effort of a lot of different people. And ultimately, the fight's happening because George Kambosos wanted to fight the best, and he wanted to do it in front of his countrymen in Australia, and he wanted to do it in front of his Greek, his Greek brothers and sisters in Melbourne. And it's happening because Devin Haney was willing to travel halfway around the world to fight Cambosis, and get those belts. They both wanted this big fight, and the big winners are the fans. And it allowed me to put together a deal, and the fight will be televised all over the world. It'll be pay-per-view in Australia on Foxtel main event. It'll be live in ESPN and in the US and Canada. And I'm sure we're going to make a deal and get it either Sky or BT, or I'm certain that this fight will be available live in the UK. I'll make sure of that.
Good man, Lou. Lou, you've answered about 9 of the questions I've got written down here with that, so thank you for that early doors. I tend to go on these little rants. It saves people having to ask questions. But go ahead. Fantastic.
I'm all here for you. I got a couple of minutes of my time. Let's go.
Good man. Lou, we've just watched snippets of the press conference. Just your thoughts. Devin Haney was saying that Cambosis has actually been forced to fight him. And he didn't want to sign a contract. Is that
no, Cambosis, truth is, and I told this to Devin, Cambosis wanted to fight him from the beginning. Eddie and I couldn't make a deal. As a result of that, George did not want to fight a keep busy fight. He wanted to fight a huge fight. So who was the next biggest guy? I mean, if I couldn't get that unification with Haney, it's not even the next biggest. I mean, Lomachenko's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a great fighter. He's the top of his game. His fight with Comey was brilliant. So we went out and we got Lomachenko. I mean, I love Devin Haney, but no one's ducking Devin Haney to go fight Lomachenko, right? So, but I couldn't look when Loma decided that he needed to stay with his family and his people in the Ukraine, and that we had to go in another direction. I went back to Devin Haney, and I tried to make a deal with DAZN, and we just couldn't reach an agreement. And I had this framework of a deal with ESPN and Top Rank, and I was able to make a deal with Devin. And honestly, it's the best fight for George available. It's going to be a sensational event on June 5th in 50,000 people in Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. It's the best deal for Devin Haney. He has the same opportunity that George just had. George, people were saying that, Teofimo was pound for one of the best in the world, the best young fighter in the world. George brought the fight to him, beat him convincingly, got all those belts. Now Haney has an opportunity to do to George what George did to Teofimo. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he's going to go into the Emperor's backyard and beat him. But Haney's a great fighter, man. He's a great young fighter, 23 years old. He's got all the ability in the world. It's a sensational fight for boxing fans.
It is. It seems such a long time ago, Lou, that Cambosis was on our shows to fight Lee Selby, and he was the underdog then. He went into the Lions' Den and upset Teofimo Lopez. He's earned this.
Well, you know what?
Hasn't he?
You know what's interesting? It's funny you say that, because George said something similar at the press conference today. George traveled the world for 5 years, never fighting at home, going into the Lions' Den constantly. You know, beating Americans in America, beating Brits in Britain. You know, he didn't have an opportunity to fight at home, and now Devin Haney's got to go into the Lions' Den, but this time the Lions' Den is Marvel Stadium and likely 50,000 people. So it's going to be a great night, a great day, because actually the fight is June 5th. It's mid-afternoon in Australia on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's prime time US on a Saturday night, and it's the wee hours of the morning in the UK.
We'll be up, Lou. Don't worry about that.
I'm not worrying about that. I assume a nut like you would be up.
We certainly will. Lou, I spoke to Eddie Hearn on the early hours of Sunday morning, straight after the Josh Warrington fight. And his exact words were, they were close to tying up the deal with Lou DiBELLA to get the Haney Cambosis fight. Can you explain since Sunday morning?
What did he say? What did he say?
That DAZN were close to tying up the deal with yourself in regards to Cambosis.
Well, no, it's true. No. I have to look. I want to say a couple of things. Eddie and I haven't been getting along recently, right? I think that's pretty obvious. But that had nothing to do why this deal didn't get done with DAZN. I mean, it didn't get done because I made the best deal I could make, and it just wasn't with DAZN. And if Eddie and I were able to reach agreement 4 months ago, it would have been Haney 4 months ago. We would have, you know, and this wasn't about Eddie and I. It was about doing the best deal possible. DAZN worked very hard trying to make a deal, and we had, you know, very extensive negotiations. And I did change the structure. You know, they were interested in buying the worldwide rights and launching DAZN in Australia, you know, with this kind of fight, but we never were able to reach a meeting of the minds. And then I did the best deal available for George, and I did the best deal available for my company. And honestly, if it wasn't the best deal for Devin Haney, he wouldn't have done it. You know, give Devin Haney and his dad some credit. They did the best deal for themselves. Devin wanted to stay loyal to Eddie and DAZN. I mean, he did a lot of fights with them, and they paid him great money. And I think if he had his preference, if all things were equal, he would have been happy to stay there. But we put a better deal on the table, and he did it.
Yeah, Eddie's been quite magnanimous since and said he understands, but he's confident that Devin comes back. So in a way, Lou, you could say it's probably worked best all round for all parties to make this fight.
Look, I mean, look, I can tell you that Devin has a good relationship with Eddie, thinks highly of him, and thinks highly of DAZN, has a good relationship with him. But Devin's made the decision here, the best decision for his career. So, I mean, look, nothing's forever. You know, who knows what happens down the road? But for a series of fights, Devin's not going to be fighting with Eddie. But, you know, I know that they have a strong relationship. You know, I'm sure Eddie and I will do business again, and I'm sure Eddie and I will have a pint again and have a meal again sometime. You know, it's not unusual for he and I to be up and down, and recently we've been down.
I think we worry more, Lou, if the pair of you got on for any extended length of time over here.
I need to get back to the UK. I haven't been to the UK since pre-pandemic, so I'm looking forward to taking a trip across the pond and coming to hang out with you guys. So I guarantee you will see me in 2022. I will return.
Fantastic. Lou, just two very, very quick ones to end with. Can you just explain?
I also want to make what might be a. Did you follow during the pandemic? Do you ever listen to boxing? Do you ever watch Boxing Social?
Yeah. I know the last well Boxing Social. Yeah.
Did you see those digests I did during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make a return of those two. I owe my man a call over there at Boxing Social. So if he's listening to this or he sees this, I will return. We will start again. You know, I was thinking to myself that you know, all of those little talks I did during the pandemic with them helped me pass the time a little bit. So I've been absent for a while, but I'm going to return.
Good man. You're welcome with us as well anytime, Lou.
Thank you, my friend. It was good talking to you.
Good man.
I got to go get a steak. I'm going to give you one more question.
One more.
And then I got to go get a steak and a martini. But go ahead.
Okay, just a rematch clause, Lou. You obviously don't think Devin Haney will win, but if he does win, there's a rematch. If George wins, will you be going all out for the Lomachenko fight? God forbid things have settled over in Ukraine.
You know, I think that George would feel like he wanted to give Lomachenko that opportunity. I also think that if Lomachenko gets out, he will likely be George's mandatory. And I know that George is going to honor his mandatory. He wouldn't give up the belt. So I would say the most likely scenario, when George wins, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when. George never thinks it's possible he's going to lose. George, I'll say this, this is really the truth. I'm no bullshit. George doesn't give a shit about rematch clauses. You know, because he always, you know, he's like, I don't want to hear about the rematch. I'm winning. But like, if I didn't get a rematch clause, it would be promotional malpractice. So, you know, I made sure that George has a rematch clause. George doesn't even entertain the idea of losing. So I'm going to manifest with him and say when he wins, I think it's a great likelihood that Lomachenko could be the fight, because I think Lomachenko will be the mandatory. Hey, I want to make another point too. You know, he's fighting on April 9th against my guy Tego, and it's not going to be a walk in the park, but Ryan Garcia really wanted an opportunity at George, and the guys at Golden Boy really tried to get George into the, to see if George would wait for Ryan. But we didn't have it out. We couldn't wait for Ryan. We weren't going to wait for Ryan. George wanted to fight in early June. George wanted to fight at Marvel Stadium, and he's getting his wish. It's Devin Haney for all the belts, for undisputed, only one king of the lightweight division, and we're going to find out who that is on June 5th.
Good man. Lou, roll on June the 5th. Looks forward to speaking to you near the fight.
This Boxing UK, good to be with you.
Lovely. Lou, you take care. I'm going to bed now.
I'll be joining you shortly here in Los Angeles. I'll be going to Club BED. I'll be there soon. I'll talk to you. Take care.
DiBELLA, take care.